I can hear you. I can hear you. Still can hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you at all. Can you hear me? Can I go out and come in again? I can't.
Hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Possibly it's from the mic I'm using.
Okay.
Yeah. So, guys, sorry for that. Another technical glitch that we just experienced. So, like we promised yesterday that we'll be bringing Mr. Etelbert again to explain to us. We want to understand what Mr. Peter Obi's prayers are, because it appears most of us have might have forgotten what Mr. Peter Obi is in the tribunal for. So we want him to throw more light on those points, those things that Mr. Peter Obi actually wants the court to address for him. And from there, we'll continue with other points that we want to look at for today.
Okay, it's good for us to be here today again, and I have tried my best to break down the petition of Peter Obi and Labour Party into 4 sections. I've summarized the whole thing. Number 1 is INEC's non-compliance to the Electoral Act 2020 in the conduct of the election.
Okay.
You remember that the first press conference that Peter Obi held after the election, he made a statement that was trending when he said that if someone will be called Your Excellency, then the part must be excellent. If you declare someone a president of a country, then the part must be verifiable. It must be based on laid down rules. If not, any one of us can just wake up and say, I want to be president. So, that part is found in the 4 basic sections of the Electoral Act that was violated, where Section 47, Section 60, and Section 64. Now, I like to educate people. I am trained to be a teacher. When you have a PhD, you're basically a glorified teacher. That is it. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah, so you are the teacher at the highest level. So, and the thing is, we are not supposed to make things complicated. We're actually supposed to make things simpler.
Simpler, of course.
Yes. And when people say, oh, leave this in for the lawyers, I am laughing. You know why? When it comes to sentencing someone to death in places like America and the UK, it's the people that condemn the person, the jury system. No lawyer is ever sat on a jury. They pick people from, you could get a letter to come and sit on a jury. Times without number, we get letters here to come and sit on a jury and decide the case of someone. The only thing the judge does is to sit and watch you people, watch the lawyers of the defendant and the prosecutor argue the case. And the juries, ordinary people, will go following the rules that will be handed over to them based on the Constitution. So we are the people. We could actually stay here and say we have listened. That's why I don't know why they didn't want to televise the trial. We can actually stay here, listening to the argument of the lawyers, and now say, no, we found this person guilty or not guilty. And the duty of the judge is to stamp the verdict of the people. We are the people.
We decide.
That is the whole philosophy of the jury system. The judge, because every one of us cannot come and begin to sign the document. So we now elect the judges to be the people who will do it on behalf of the people. It's just like when in the National Assembly, it is all of us that is making the law through our representatives. That is why when they are not doing what they should do, we recall them. And so INEC violated Section 47, Section 60, and Section 64 of the Electoral Act. I want Nigerians to go online, download it, and read these 3 sections. You will understand what I mean. Now, the next, which means Peter Obi's prayer with respect to non-compliance is what INEC needs to come and defend. And of course, they've gone a wall. We'll come back to this later. We touched it last night. Peradventure, you've not seen our video yesterday. Go back there, you get some little understanding where we're coming from.
Yes.
And then the second thing is on the issue of forgery. The forgery of degree certificates by the candidate of the APC, who is now the president. All right? They said that he forged. And then the issue of forgery, then forgery, and the issue of dual citizenship, even though Peter Obi didn't plead that. Okay? So what Peter Obi pleaded was the forfeiture that is that happened in the US, 460,000 forfeiture. Now, both the forgery of the certificate, the forfeiture that happened, all of them will be found in Section 137, subsection 1 of the Constitution. We will discuss on that if we don't have time today, because I want people who are connected to this channel to follow this argument and this education, so that when all these tweets back and forth is going, you can be rest assured that you know what is happening. You can now say, if the judges didn't do justice to justice, they were compromised.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, there is now another issue of the double nomination of Shettima. That takes its roots from the fact that whatever affects the deputy, either the deputy governor or vice president, affects his principal.
Yes.
Now, you know that in Bayelsa State, in January, I think February 2020, the governor-elect, David Leon, was rehearsing for the parade, for the swearing-in parade tomorrow. And he got a hammer from the Supreme Court that said to him, you are no longer the governor-elect.
The governor.
Why? Because of the complications and the issues that had to do with his deputy. We are not discussing that issue. That issue that had to do with deputy fell under Section 137. But for this particular issue of Shetima, it falls under Section 35 of the Electoral Act. You see how I'm explaining it? Non-compliance by INEC is violating Section 47, 60, and 64 of Electoral Act. The issue of forgery and forfeiture bordered on the 1999 Constitution 130, Section 137, subsection 1, D, E, and J, which will come back later. And now, the double nomination borders on Section 35 of the Electoral Act. In fact, it's a very simple thing. It says, where a candidate knowingly allow himself to be nominated by more than one political party or in more than one constituency, his nomination shall be void. Now, if you now go to Section maybe 31, Section 30, it did say really that you can write your party to say you're withdrawing your nomination. So you know that the Supreme Court had something to do with that when PDP sued the INEC and APC to not field Bola, Tinubu, and Shetima. And Supreme Court did not rule that INEC did the right thing. Supreme Court ruled that PDP did not have the locus standi to bring the case.
Okay, yeah.
Because
it's an external body.
Yes, in a pre-election dispute, it has to be a member of the party who contested with the person in question. But in a post-election, it has to be the other party whom you contested, because in a pre-election, it is party primaries within parties.
Yeah.
Like what happened to one Abba in Benue State. It was PDP versus PDP on the issue of forgery, certificate forgery. It was PDP versus PDP. And so the Abba guy, I think somebody Abba, was disqualified and the other person took over. Because it was a pre-election matter. But what happened in Bauchi State in 1999, which was between ANPP and PDP, was a case of NYSC forgery between the APC candidate and the NNPP candidate. So it is now a post-election matter because election had been concluded. So, but even though the Supreme Court ruled that PDP does not have any locus standi, they made a statement suggesting that the APC vice presidential candidate had written his party earlier on. And people were like, oh, this shouldn't be. What is the Supreme Court saying? Fine, the letter is okay. But the challenge is, does the letter translate to INEC knowing? Because INEC form, the Labour Party did not make their prayer based on intra-party communication and letters. They made their claim based on certified true copy of what INEC gave them. And in the certified true copy of the nomination of Shetima, it happened that Shetima did not fall for being nominated by two political parties, just like Uche Nwosu was that happened to Uche Nwosu in 1999. But Shetima was nominated for two constituencies in Nigeria. The first constituency is Borno Central Senatorial District and the vice presidential candidate. Are you seeing it? And it is a law. It is an error that occurred within 24 hours. What happened is that APC mistakenly, after having received a letter from Shetima, what have you, according to Supreme Court, they mistakenly submitted the name of Shetima as the vice presidential candidate, like today, being 5th of July, only to go to withdraw his nomination before as senatorial candidate tomorrow being 6th. It takes smart observation to see the error there.
Yeah.
But that error is injurious. How I say that the error is injurious is because INEC themselves, if they say that the nomination of candidate ends 12 midnight today, if you go there by 6 a.m. tomorrow, you've lost.
Already late, yeah.
You've lost by only 6 hours. Okay, so what happened here was that PDP is saying, and I'm sorry, Labour Party is saying, this guy, by the time they went to bed, I think on the 14th of July last year, I can't remember the date, that in INEC database of the list of nominated candidates, Shettima was appearing twice. He was appearing as vice presidential candidate and appearing as senatorial candidate. That it was only 24 hours later when you refresh their system that he started appearing once. And for the fact that for a period of 24 hours window, he was double, he stands disqualified. And if he stands disqualified, his boss stands disqualified.
Yes.
I want Nigerians to appreciate these nitty-gritties of the law. So that is one of the prayers that APC will come to defend themselves with this double. Then the last one is on the issue of FCT, 25% of FCT.
Yeah.
That one is going to be found in the Constitution, Section 134 of the 1999 Constitution. In that place, you're going to see that the Constitution made it clear that if you win as the biggest vote so far in an election, you also need to win 25% in 1 2/3 of the states of the Federation, which is 24 states, and 25% of
the FCT.
Now, people will not appreciate this FCT thing until they have gone to the chapter 1 of the Constitution. In the chapter 1 of the Constitution, and I think I need to open it. I use the word chapter because it will make it easier for our people to understand when it's defining the country that is called Nigeria. Just give me a second. You will appreciate this. It says here, Part 1 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Part 1, Section 2. Section 2 says, Nigeria is one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which means 1999 Constitution, Section 2, Subsection 1, gave us the name of the country, Nigeria. 1999 Constitution, Section 2, Subsection 2, will now tell us how that Nigeria is going to be, the structure of the Nigeria. He said, Nigeria shall be a federation consisting of states and a federal capital territory. What does that tell you? I used to explain it like this. Nigeria is, see how my hand is standing now? 5 fingers, but there is one standing out. This one are all linked together.
Okay.
Or look at it like a tree that has 2 branches, but one branch of the tree is just standing alone, and the other branch has sub-branches that is split into 36 sub-branches. So what does that mean? What it means is this. that if you climb that tree called Nigeria, if you're going to cut off Nigeria, you're going to go to the base and cut it. When you cut it off, all of them will fall. One big branch that has sub branches. You've seen it in all the guava tree and co that we climbed when we were children.
Yes.
One is just one like this, and the other branch. You see, my arm is like two. Look at my arm here. But when it gets here, this is standing and this is standing together. When you cut off my arm, this fall and this one will fall together. Then it's trying to say that for you to win, to be declared the president, remember that FCT is a no man's land. All the people who are living here must come from here to live here.
Okay.
All the people living here must come from here to live here. Even though there were people who were indigenous people, but those people who are indigenous people doesn't really matter these days because that land has been called now the Federal Capital Territory. So they now said, because this is what is called both the letter and the spirit of the law. Now, the spirit, which is the intention of the people who made this law, is simple. If all the people who are living here came from here, then this place is like a sample. If you remember what we do in statistics, this is like a sample of Nigeria.
Okay.
It means that when you get the popular votes, you also need to come here and get 25% of the 2/3 of this place. And also come here and get 25% of this place.
Of course.
The law is not saying you must win FCT. It says you must get at least 25%. Because constitutionally too, the president is also the governor of the FCT.
Yeah.
And how can a governor govern a place he cannot win 25%? So it makes sense for anyone to understand. So in view of that, Labour Party happens to be the only party that won massively. In fact, there is a rumor making round last week that INEC is manipulating the beavers to make sure that APC comes up to 25% there. Well, that is too late because they have already gone ahead to declare the result. It's too late.
Honestly.
They always know how to come from behind.
You didn't even know what happened. As in obedience, we're just busy bringing out their evidence, you know.
Yeah,
they can't outsmart this generation.
Exactly. You know, so that is it. So you could see that the prayer is broken into 4 components. And anyone, now, the one of number 1, non-compliance of INEC might result in a rerun because these are the implications. Okay. It might result, assuming everything is held constant, the issue of forgery, the issue of double nomination, and all those things are quashed. But the one prayer of non-compliance is held because the law says if that non-compliance is substantial to the extent that it can affect the result declared so far, there should be a rerun. And so the question is it based on the expert witness that Labour Party brought? It shows that over 18,000 polling units where blood does not have a result. And based on what we discussed last night, without the result on the IREV, it is not possible to collate a result at the ward level going up because there are 4 items you need before you can do your collation. Item number 1 is the physical result. Item number 2 is the physical beavers. Item number 3 is the uploaded result. Item number 4 is the uploaded beavers accreditation data. So if over 18,000 polling units, which may account for more than 2.5 million, is blood and voided, it means that the margin of lead between the one that INEC declared for APC and the one that they declare for PDP is greater, is less than the votes that are being contested. The implication will automatically result in a cancellation of the whole election, and the whole election will start again. That's number one. Number two is that it could result in the rerun. Okay, in the issue of forgery.
Well, sorry, let me ask you a question. When you talk about rerun, if the election is totally cancelled, does it mean we'll start from like primaries, the political parties will start all afresh? Okay.
It will be the way they were as at 24th of February.
Okay.
However,
so the APC will still provide a candidate.
Their candidate will do this. It's like everybody go back. It's like you wanted to have a football game and you have played midway and it started raining, and then the referee canceled the match. You come back to play again the next day.
Okay.
But assuming there is a rerun, and they now upheld this issue of double nomination, it means that rerun will hold and APC is going to be disqualified.
Okay.
Because it has to be status quo ante. As you were as at 24th, so shall you be.
Yes.
Again. Assuming the court also finds in these prayers that indeed Tinubu is culpable because of the forgery of degree certificate that PDP is pushing for, or forfeiture that Labour Party is pushing for, even if there's a rerun, they are disqualified. Okay, we step down again. Assuming everything is held status quo ante, the result INEC declared is upheld, the issue of forgery, double nomination and co is quashed, but the Supreme Court says you must get 25% in the FCT. That is where it becomes tricky. That is where PDP will lose. PDP will not be the party that will be in that ballot. It's now going to be only APC as it stands now and the Labour Party. Because the condition is the person who has won the majority of the votes plus the party that won the majority of the states. And the number of states that Labour Party won more than 50% is more than the one that APC, that PDP. Yes. So these are the technicalities. But now, because of time, I think what you are going to do is next time, because I actually have a meeting, I need to step out now. I have given time to run these stories now so that people will know. Okay, like people were saying, that there is the issue of 10 years. Even if you commit a crime, it's more than 10 years, and that is with respect to forfeiture. They are making a mistake. If you go to section 137 of the Constitution, allow me to see if I can just show you two things there again. It says here, number D, that is where APC and Tinubu is happening more, even if this forfeiture is an issue. It's more than 10 years. It's called statute bar. But section 137 of the 1999 Constitution, subsection 1D, is what they're fighting for. It says, within a period of less than 10 years before the date of an election to a legislative house or presidency house, the person has been convicted or sentenced for an offense involving dishonesty or all these things. Which means if it is more than 10 years, it becomes statute bar. But they forgot that the whole subsection is ended with semicolon, meaning that they are independent. That's how you read the Constitution. They are independent. If you escape D and E catches you, you go. And the E, okay, C says, the C says under any law enforced. No, he is under a sentence of death imposed on him by any competent court of law or tribunal in Nigeria. So section C is talking about offense committed in the court in Nigeria, because that is another thing that they're arguing there, that after all, this thing did not happen in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, of course.
But then it says, He here says he is on discharge. No, sorry, it's the same C. I've not finished. Any tribunal in Nigeria or a sentence of imprisonment or fine for any offense involving dishonesty or fraud, or by whatever name or any offense imposed on him by such a court or a tribunal substituted by a competent authority. So the question is the Crown Court in London a competent authority? Is so any competent authority is okay. So sorry. I'm reading the same thing because the same thing covers both for House of Rep, for Senate, for Co. But it's like I was reading that of the Senate, the Senate, but just for the purpose of clarity, so that I quote specifically where it is in 137. Because that's the constitution. They will tell you for Senate, they will tell you for House of Rep, they will tell you for presidency. So that there's no ambiguity.
Ambiguity, everything is clear.
Okay, so let's read Section 137, subsection A of the 1999 Constitution has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, 10 things. If any one of them catches you, you're gone. And number 1 says, subject to the provision of this constitution, he has voluntarily acquired a citizenship of a country other than Nigeria, or except in such case as may be prescribed. That is where the issue of double citizenship came. Now, under normal circumstance, he may have been cleared, but the challenge is that in the column where he's supposed to enter, have you ever acquired another citizenship? He said no. So that becomes perjury.
Another problem.
So 137 subsection 1A is an issue. 1A is an issue. Now, the next thing, he is under, D now says he is under a sentence of death imposed by any competent court of law or tribunal in Nigeria. This is with Nigeria. Or a sentence of imprisonment or fine for any offense involving dishonesty or fraud, or for any other offense imposed on him by any court or tribunal. He didn't say in Nigeria. The first one says in Nigeria. The framers know what any court whatsoever.
Wow.
So D is an issue. He has to clear. He has to clear himself with A. He has to clear himself with D. And so when you now look at that E, where it's talking about 10 years, and that 10 years is Code of Conduct Tribunal, the Code of Conduct in Nigeria, like you're a civil servant. Like what happened to Justice Onogen when they said that he did not declare his assets. They say the Code of Conduct Tribunal found him guilty. Now they have barred him. He cannot hold any public office in the next 10 years.
Okay.
But that is not the same thing with maybe money laundering or drug-related offense that you can be found in Mexico or found in UK and what have you. So you see how the law is trashing all these things. Now, so he's dealing with A, he's dealing with D, and again, he's dealing with J. He has presented a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Here, let's assume that he may have attended the university. But the issue is that the copy of the certificate he gave INEC is not the copy of the certificate issued by this university. So it's like maybe here you want to submit a certificate for a program, and maybe for one reason or the other, you know how it is hard to get transcript in Nigerian university, and somebody tells you, we can always, after all, you went to school. It's obvious you went to school. Let's just cook up something. The law says, as long as you did that, you are found, you're going to be held responsible for it. So you said we're going to have another program this afternoon that will deal with what happened in courts today and APC and PDP. Fine. Let's do that later in the day. And if I have a little time that time, I will expand much on, because as I said here, each section of the law that I quoted and relative to the prayer of the Labour Party, there is a party that will come and defend itself there. INEC has a question to answer, and they have not answered it well. APC has a question to answer. Tinubu has a question to answer. And then the courts, the Supreme Court has a question to answer with respect to the FCT, because that one is on their desk. It's on their laps. That's why they don't talk much of that. Oh, says, by the way, God. It was their fault that we can't get a transcript easily. Okay, it was their fault. Okay, fine. So I am going to call it off here.
Very much for
we come
this
back
time.
we come back in the afternoon, and then we see what we can do. All right. But there's a lot to discuss. And you notice me, I like to give my lectures in a clear form so that people understand where we're going. It's better we take it gradually. If people keep coming back to this channel, maybe within the next 1 week or so, we will educate them that they themselves can, all this, are we sure? Is there any hope? You should know if you're sure, if there's any hope. Based on information, because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. We really need to know, honestly. Yes. Knowledge is power. Thank you so much for your time. And I think you've really opened my eyes. I've really got to understand some things, because, these people, they did all these things and they thought, they could just get away with it. Yeah. If it was in those days, we wouldn't be talking about all these things. We would have forgotten this election, would have just continued with life, just as usual. But this time, Nigerians are not taking anything for an answer. Everybody wants things to be done rightly this time. And I'm hoping that coming elections, people will have to sit down and think twice before they will even apply. If you don't have a certificate, don't go and forge. Must you become an office holder? Are there not other businesses that people could go into? And you even look at our president. He's of age. So why the desperation? That's what I keep asking. Why must he be a president that he will go to this extent? And we are living in a digital world. Anything that happens in the courtroom, even though they rejected the live broadcast, but anything that happens, just go out there. You can imagine the level of his image being, dented. Honestly, I don't know. Wow. I just pray that everything that is happening is a lesson to every Nigerian. We all must learn from this, especially our politicians. They've got a lot to learn from what is actually happening in Nigeria today. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So guys, for those who joined us, thank you for joining us. And we'll probably be coming back later in the evening today to discuss on what happened today at the Election Tribunal. So we hope to see you join us again. Thank you and God bless. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.